Kung merong link, bakit hindi mo magamit yung puso ng unggoy pagka yung puso mo depektibo na, i-transplant sa yung puso ng unggoy? Kung meron talagang link.
The question doesn't make any sense, as it doesn't follow. Whether it can be done or not won't disprove the theory of evolution in any way. It looks like Eli Soriano thinks that if xenotransplantation between man and chimpanzee is not possible, then there is no link between the two. I'm not sure what you really mean by link, but you cannot readily transplant your own heart to, let's say, your own mother or child because of many reasons, like difference in heart size, blood type, initial aggressive hyperacute rejection and immunological difficulties. And if the doctor says it is not possible, does it mean that you and your mother or child has no link?
Considering the strict characteristics of the genes, the DNA, and the chromosomes of humans and animals, ang hindi kayang tutulan ng mga ateista, itong sinasabi ni San Pablo.
Here we go again.
Sa unang Korinto 15, ganito ang ating mababasa sa 39, kapatid na Luz.
Hindi ang lahat ng laman ay magkasing isang laman, kundi may laman sa mga tao at ibang laman sa mga hayop, at ibang laman sa mga ibon at ibang laman sa mga isda.
Ito sinulat ni Pablo 2,000 years ago. Hindi pa uso yung siyensya noon, hindi pa uso yung analysis of the human body, anatomy of the human body, hindi pa uso noon yun eh. Yung study of microbiology, wala pa noon eh. Pero noon, alam na ng Biblia, sinabi na ng Biblia.
That is rather obvious, and you don't really need any advanced technology or technique to notice that the flesh of, say, animals, birds, and fishes are not the same. I expected as much. Here is Eli Soriano, got excited and impressed again by some simple observations, like a schoolgirl. Yeah, even my 9-year-old sister can tell the difference with nothing but just her 2 naked eyes. She can tell which flesh is chicken, beef, and pork that are being displayed in supermarkets, all without special knowledge of microbiology and genetics. People knew it too, and they didn't wait for microscopes and X-ray diffraction to be invented so they can call these flesh of different animals with different names like pork, beef, chevron, venison, mutton, carabeef, squab, because it's so obvious for some reasons.
Iba ang laman sa tao, iba ang laman sa hayop, iba ang laman sa ibon, iba ang laman sa isda. Sinong Sergio nang tututol dito?
No one. What's your point of even mentioning this? The thing is so obvious and plain as day and no one's arguing you about it and it's completely irrelevant. Maybe you're also astonished and got excited by the fact that the Bible mentioned we need water to survive, eh? Skittish.
Iba ang laman ng tao, iba ang laman ng hayop. Tingnan mo ang laman ng unggoy. Tingnan mo ang laman ng chimpanzee. Tingnan mo ang laman ng apes. Yung flesh. Tingnan mo yung kanilang genes. Tingnan mo yung kanilang DNA. Tingnan mo yung kanilang chromosome. They are far, far, far different from man.
Sure, we can do that. Comparative genomics is a field of biological research in which the genomic features of different organisms are compared. What they found out from sequencing DNAs of different species is the exact opposite of what you are saying. And so it is apparent that you are lying. Here is one example of how we are so closely related to other primates. According to the scientific journal Nature, which I listed the link in the description, bonobo's genome is 98.7% identical to corresponding sequences in the human genome. From another source, Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History, states that the bonobo and chimpanzee's genome indicates a difference of only 1.2% from human's genome. I don't think 1.2 or 1.3% is far different now, is it? 7% can't be even said as far different. If your only source is correct and Yahweh molded us from dirt or created us in his image, our staggering similarities to animals won't be that high. But evidence shows we don't differ much from animals. We share genes with all living organisms that we know and sequenced. The percentage of genes or DNA that organisms share shows their similarities. Evolution can neatly explain that.
Ito ang evolusyon. Sabi nyo, nanggaling tayo sa one-celled animals.
Wait. Really? One-celled animals? What kind of mushroom you were smoking, pal? What on earth did you mean by one-celled animals? This is the guy who thinks he can overthrow science just by quoting irrelevant verses from an ancient and scientifically inaccurate book. Such arrogance, blinding as the sun.
Naging amoeba, tapos naging reptiles, tapos naging homo sapiens, etc. It's a long process. Sabi nyo, merong link. Asan ang link? Nakakita na ba kayo ng isang fossil na yung ang tao gradually nagiging unti-unti naging tao?
Yes, there is. I listed some helpful sites that gives an overview of the human evolution and the fossil evidence that we have. You're welcome. Oh, wait, we don't even need the fossil record to verify human descent from earlier non-human origin. And it is not chain-like linear fashion, as you are implying, but more like a tree branching. There are lots of evidence, hard evidence that can support evolution. Genetics and comparative genomics, for example. It is so well supported by tons of evidence that it is absurd to reject it as incorrect without explaining those tremendous amount of evidence away. Anyway, your foolish denial that evolution happened and happening using only ignorance and arrogance shows that you don't understand it. Google is your friend.
Naging tao, unti-unti. At kung totoo yung evolusyon, dapat ngayon wala nang amoeba. Kawawa naman yung amoeba. Hanggang ngayon amoeba pa rin siya eh.
I don't know what you're talking about. But I do believe that you are completely ignorant of what is the theory of evolution actually says. I don't think it is smart to try to refute something you know nothing about. Try to find out first what is the theory of evolution, because you are only making a fool out of yourself repeatedly. My goddess, I hope there's a rule for guys like this misinforming gullible people. Again, please utilize the internet for this. There are lots of search engines out there at your disposal. Then only you can refute it. Until then, stop spouting fallacies like an anus with severe diarrhea.
Oh, kung totoo evolusyon, bakit hanggang ngayon amoeba pa rin? Kung ako amoeba, magrereklamo ko eh. Bakit nag-evolve? Ako'y naiwan ni amoeba pa rin. Bakit yung bakterya pa rin? Bakit yung
Soriano's rants are based on the strawman he put up and a non sequitur. I listed them here in one place instead. These are all variants of his stupid argument. If we came from apes, why are there still apes? I created a blog post that addresses this one. Link is in the description. But if Brother Eli Soriano or any other creationist zealot is really serious about debunking evolution, it is actually easy to do, and here are some of legit ways. One needs to do is to find some rabbit fossils in Devonian or Precambrian strata, or adaptations that could not have evolved by a step-by-step process, or any complete discordance between phylogenies based on fossils and on DNA. What I don't understand is how you guys are so hostile against a well-supported theory but fanatically hold on to a story that is untestable, unfalsifiable, and incongruous account for our origin.
Alam mo yung sinasabing theory of evolution, maraming failures yan eh.
Wow, really? Why not try to journal about it and pick up your Nobel Prize? Because, to tell you honestly, you'll be famous and rich, funded for life. You'll be more famous than Einstein, being the only person who overthrew the only viable explanation of the diversity of life. Wow, I salute you, brother. How does it feel? Congratulations.
Maraming katangahan kasunod dyan eh. Alam mo kung bakit maraming katangahan dyan?
No, but I am interested. Go on, tell me.
Unang-una yung sinasabi ko, bakit nang dumating na sa tao, hindi na nag-evolve?
Say what? Douchebag. This is another fallacy called loaded question. The premise that the evolution stopped when man arrived is wrong. One down, next.
Ano ngayon ang sasabihin mo sa akin? Principle ng siyensya na, pagdating tao, tigil na, wala na evolusyon, ha?
We are still evolving. Who told you we don't anymore?
O ngayon, ang ating human history, ang recorded human history, almost about 35,000 years.
From where did you pull that 35,000 figure? We learned how to write only like 5,000 years ago, and now you're saying the human recorded history is about 35,000 years. What weed you're smoking? How can there be 35,000 year long recorded history if we only invented some writing system about 3,000 to 5,000 years ago?
Ang recorded human history. Nung matuklasan yung Mayan civilization, which was believed to have flourished 35,000 years ago in South or in Central America.
So I'm trying to not sound like I'm copying or something. But the Mayan civilization wasn't 35,000 years old. The Olmecs, the oldest culture in Mesoamerica, thrived during 1,500 to 200 before Common Era. The Maya developed their first civilization in the pre-classic period, 2000 BC to 250 AD. Again, where did you get the 35,000 years? Charlatan.
Bakit sa loob ng 35,000 years, walang evolusyon nangyari sa tao?
35,000 years is just a blink of an eye in evolutionary sense, thank you. We have been evolving. Our lifespan is too short for us to observe significant numbers of generation to see changes. Some organisms, though, have a relatively much shorter lifespan, enabling us to observe evolution in action in the lab.
Ba't hindi tayo nakagrow ng pakpak? Ako rin gusto ko rin lumipad eh.
Wrong. That is not evolution. You've been reading the wrong book this whole time. Read a high school biology book at least.
Kasi ang sabi ng evolusyon eh, pagka kailangang lumipad, nakakagrow ng pakpak. Ano?
Wrong. You've been reading the wrong book. See how stupid that sounds? It is not the failure of a theory, but your ignorance. I even feel I'm losing brain cells just by listening to your stupid rants. Evolution happens all the time. There's a thought in my mind that says you just honestly misunderstood evolution. Evolution is a fact. Even if we grant, just for argument's sake, that your particular creation myth is true, that we were created by some god, your god, you can't still deny that evolution happened. Evolution is defined as any change in the frequency of hours within a gene pool from one generation to the next. Also, evolution always refers to a population, not to individuals. So let's say your myth is real, then Adam was the first man. Let's say he's white, blonde hair, pinkish lips, etc. You know what I'm saying. But right now you can see people that have black, curly brunette and have dark lips. Contrast that with your idea of Adam. There have been changes, right? All these heritable changes of traits in the population spread over many generations is a fact. Guess what it's called? Evolution. Right now you see people with brown skin, wavy hair and reddish lips. These traits are different than Adam's and are heritable, which means it can be passed down to many generations. Guess what it's called, pal? Evolution. We can observe other organisms with a much shorter lifespan, and it would happen sometimes that a certain isolated population won't be able to mate with other groups, thus speciation occurs. Speciation is a direct consequence of evolution, and we have evidence for such occurrences, and that redundantly belies your creation myth. If you think we all came from a man called Adam and there are many differences in the entire human population, and changes didn't happen, then I guess the problem is in you. Sources are in the description. Next.
Kagaya ng mga sea lion, nung mapunta sa dagat, nakagawa ng fins. Sila'y lion galing sa lupa. Naging sea lion. O kaya yung sea lion pumunta naman sa lupa, nakagrow naman ng mga claws, hindi naman fins.
Wrong. Land-dwelling lions became sea lions? From where did you pull all these stupid crap? Out of your ass? Stop doing that. Next.
Ngayon, kung totoo yung evolusyon na pinagsasasabi ng mga naniniwala kay Darwin, sana tayong mga tao nag-umpisa na rin tayo magkapakpak dahil maraming tao gustong lumipad eh. Di ba?
Evolution never said anything about us growing new sets of eyes or sprouting wings just because we want to.
Ha? by natural selection. Dapat marami na tayong na-develop sa atin.
Wrong. Some dude really needs to study basic high school biology. Seriously.
Bakit tumigil na? Bakit tumigil na ang tinatawag na evolusyon pagdating sa tao? At ano ipapaliwanag nyo? Bakit may naiwang hindi nag-evolve? Magpakita kayo sa akin ng scientific explanation. Ba't may naiwang hindi nag-evolve? May unggoy pa rin ngayon kung totoo ang evolusyon. That disproves your claim.
Okay, I made a blog post about this shit you spouted. This is a misrepresentation of the theory. Even the creationist website Answers in Genesis admitted that this is embarrassingly wrong.
Because the Bible has it. Ang sabi ng Diyos ganito, basahin natin sa Ecclesiastes 3:14.
Nalalaman ko na anumang ginagawa ng Diyos, magiging magpakailanman, walang bagay na maidadagdag o anumang bagay
Again,
na
the
maaalis,
fallacies.
at
Red
ginawa ng
herrings.
Diyos
This is
upang ang
irrelevant
tao
to
ay
the issue being
matakot sa harap
discussed.
niya.
This is not a theory. This is a biblical information which is true.
Another fallacy. Circular reasoning. You need to prove that this God of yours created us first. And how do you know the biblical information is true? Apparently, your understanding of the word theory here is wrong.
Pagka pala ginawa ng Diyos na ganyan ka, walang maidadagdag sa'yo. Kaya ang tao, hanggang ngayon, dalawa pa rin ang mata. Oh. Kasi talagang dalawa lang mata, sinabi ng Biblia, ginawa ng Diyos ang tao eh. Walang maidadagdag, wala ring maiaalis. Kaya normally ang tao hanggang ngayon, dalawa pa rin ang bato. Di ba? Isa pa rin ang atay. Isa pa rin ang puso. Ang ginawa ng Diyos, walang maidadagdag at maiaalis. Magbilang ka kapatid yung paa ng alupihan, hanggang ngayon ganun pa rin karami. Hindi naman nadagdagan eh.
If I point every fallacies in your videos, it would be as many as those centipede's limbs. Besides, look up supernumerary body parts, and you'll see people with extra breasts, hands, fingers, kidneys, and even penises, and some others even got both sex organs. Truly God's design. Another thing, I'm wondering why did Brother Eli Soriano chose to read the verse in Filipino? The verse doesn't actually talk about God's creations, but his actions. The verse tells something about whatever God does cannot be changed. This is an example of equivocation. Wow, he really loves fallacies.
Meron ka ba mapapakita sa akin na scientific proof?
There is no such thing as a scientific proof. Proofs exist only in mathematics and logic, not in science. Jesus Christ, this man.
Nawala ang pakpak ng ostrich dahil hindi na sila lumilipad. Nawala. Ay hanggang ngayon may pakpak yung ostrich ko eh. Marami kong ostrich, 20 yata. Tinitingnan ko. Yung kasing ostrich, flightless bird yun eh. Ayon sa siyensya. Ba't yun eh, hindi nakakalipad? Natural, kahit may pakpak siya, napakalaki. Malaking aksidente yung pag lumipad yun. Mabangga aeroplano mo, nung katakot-takot na malaking aksidente yan. Pag kaya na lumipad, talagang yan may pakpak man yan, hindi nakakalipad. Hindi ang ibig sabihin, nung gawin ng Diyos ang ostrich, nag-evolve siya ngayon, kung hindi siya naglililipad, lumit ang pakpak niya.
I don't know how I always find myself say this many times, but I already said it before. You fail to understand devolution, and not a failure of the theory of evolution.
Walang time in history na ang ostrich, may nakitang napakalaki na pwedeng lumipad ang ostrich. Hindi talaga siya. And the construction of the ostrich, yung kanyang paa, yung kanyang legs, talagang constructed yun for running. Hindi siya intended na magpa-fly ang ostrich. Di ba? Ikaw man ang ostrich, hindi mo rin gugustuhin lumipad. Sa haba ng paa mo, mahihirapan kang lumipad pag ikaw ang ostrich. Hindi mo naman pwedeng itiklop yung paa mo kagaya ng pagtitiklop ng paa ng agila.
Red herring, irrelevant piece of shit. This is easily explained by evolution. If a certain population of ostriches somehow lose their wings, it would happen gradually, over a long period. We will not be calling it ostrich anymore. More like a moose maybe, with their wings which are so very short as to be totally useless for flight, and indeed, are scarcely to be distinguished from the rest of the plumage, were it not for their standing out a little. Or maybe you meant the dwarf cassowary, which are wingless and flightless, or maybe even the large moles, which are wingless too. Ostrich got wings, though useless for flight. I even wonder why a supposedly infinitely intelligent God created a bird with wings but cannot use it for flight. He even created a bird that has no wings at all. Why is that? The theory of evolution sounds more plausible, and with evidence to say the least.
Ang ibig ko lang sabihin, tama yung sabi ng Diyos sa Biblia eh. Ang ginagawa ng Diyos, magiging permanente yun. Kung tao ka, tao ka. Kung ostrich ka, ostrich ka. Kung kalabaw ka, kalabaw ka. Kung baka ka, baka ka. Walang maidadagdag o walang maiaalis. That nullifies or belies the theory of evolution. Hindi totoo yung evolution. Sinasabi sa Biblia, wala kang maidadagdag o wala kang maiaalis sa mga ginawa ng Diyos.
A theory is way better than a completely unsupported passage from an outdated, unscientific book that cannot be tested and falsified. And the way you said it implies that your understanding of the word theory is incorrect. Theories are structures of ideas that explain and interpret facts. Your sole source of your objection is useless and cannot explain anything.